Madam, the doctor said, are you aware that your daughter shows signs of repeated physical discomfort? She said carefully. Rose was stunned. What? When? How? She asked in disbelief. Rose and Albert were a young couple who had a beautiful traditional marriage ceremony that brought their families together. Within 5 years, they had 5 children, 2 sets of twins born a year apart, followed by a baby girl a year after the second set of twins. Friends and family soon became concerned and advised them to consider family planning to help manage their growing household. Financial difficulties followed, and the couple struggled to provide adequately for all their children. The meals became less nutritious, and the clothing their children wore became increasingly worn out. Life grew difficult, and they decided it would be best to let some of their children stay with trusted relatives until they were more financially stable. Rose's mother agreed to take in the first set of twins, Robert and Roberta. This brought great relief to Rose. Albert, though grateful, felt uneasy. He quietly vowed to work harder so he could reunite his family under one roof. Rose worked as a trader, and Albert, a carpenter, started actively looking for contracts rather than waiting for them. Under the care of their grandparents and uncles, Robert and Roberta flourished. They ate well, wore clean clothes, and received loving attention. Their uncles helped with schoolwork and even bought them toys. Compared to life at home, the children looked healthier and more joyful. Whenever Rose visited, she was glad to see them thriving. Though Albert didn't go with her, he always sent money for their upkeep. Rose sometimes used part of it to help with expenses at home, but her mother appreciated every contribution and acknowledged Albert's effort. One weekend, Rose's parents needed to travel to attend a ceremony in their hometown. They left the twins in the care of 2 family members, James, Rose's brother, and Brad, her cousin. Although neither had much experience with childcare, they agreed to do their best. James prepared food and left to watch football with friends, while Brad stayed behind to help the children bathe, eat, and complete their homework. During this time, Brad began to notice Roberta's growing independence. He hadn't paid much attention before, as she was always modestly dressed and well guided by her grandmother. He helped the children get ready for the day and gave them breakfast before letting them play. From that moment, Brad's behavior toward Roberta changed. Rather than focusing on her care, he started showing her extra attention in ways that were unnecessary and unwarranted. One morning, he went to a nearby shop to buy treats. He bathed the twins, dressed Robert first, and sent him to the kitchen. Then he delayed with Roberta under the pretense of helping her get dressed, placing her on his lap. She didn't notice anything odd. She was still very young. After dressing her, he gave her a lollipop and reminded her not to talk about any discomfort. Delighted by the treat, Roberta joined Robert, who was slightly upset that he wasn't given the same. She shared with her brother, and they went about their day. When their grandparents returned, Brad offered to continue helping with the children's morning routine. The grandmother appreciated his offer, unaware of any reason for concern. Eventually, the school term ended, and Albert suggested the children come home for the holidays. Though Rose hesitated, knowing the conditions at home weren't ideal, she eventually agreed, wanting to spend time as a complete family. One Saturday morning, she went to pick them up. She brought gifts to thank her parents for their care. The children were happy to see her, though visibly sad to leave their grandparents and uncles. On their way home, Robert casually told his mother that Uncle Brad gave Roberta lollipops every morning, but never gave him any. Rose found the comment odd and promised to buy Robert some sweets too. Roberta then added, "I always sit on Uncle Brad's lap. When I say I feel pain, he gives me a lollipop." Rose was momentarily stunned, but assumed her daughter was just repeating something she had heard from another child. She dismissed the comment and carried on with the journey home. Back home, Robert and Roberta struggled to reconnect with their younger siblings and their father. They were quiet and distant. Albert, on the other hand, was overjoyed to have his children home and was happy to see them healthy. As bedtime approached, Albert bathed the boys, while Rose took care of the girls. While helping Roberta, she noticed her daughter wince and complain of discomfort. Rose asked gently if she had hurt herself while playing, but Roberta repeated the same thing she said earlier. This time, Rose grew more concerned. The following day, when Roberta's temperature rose and the pain continued, Rose took her to the hospital. There, the pediatrician examined Roberta and gently asked her where she felt pain. After listening to her and conducting further checks, the doctor sat Rose down with a serious expression. "Your daughter shows signs of repeated physical discomfort," he said carefully. "She also mentioned someone named Brad. Who is he?" Rose's hands began to tremble. She tried to hold back tears but couldn't. Roberta, still unwell, reached out to comfort her mother. The doctor wrote a prescription and advised that Roberta be admitted immediately for proper care and observation. He asked Rose to return with her belongings. Rose sat in the hospital room for hours, struggling with what to do. Finally, she gathered her courage, took Roberta in a taxi, and returned home to pick up the necessary items. During the ride, she cried silently, thinking about how to break the news to Albert. Part of her wanted to protect her cousin, but her daughter's well-being came first. When they arrived home, Albert immediately sensed something was wrong. Rose's tears alarmed him. He brought them inside, checked her bag for documents, and saw the prescription. After Rose calmed down, she told him everything about Roberta's words, the doctor's findings, and the suspicions. Albert was deeply affected, but remained composed. He told Rose he was going to get money for the hospital, but instead he contacted two close friends who were police officers. Together, they drove an hour to his in-laws' home. Brad had just returned from work when they arrived. Albert greeted the elders respectfully before explaining the situation. Rose's father, shocked and angry, confronted Brad immediately. Rose's mother broke down in tears. Brad was taken into custody and escorted to the local police station. The family was devastated. Roberta was readmitted to the hospital and received the care she needed. Though she improved physically, her parents were changed forever by the experience. They resolved never to separate their children again, no matter their financial situation. "Even if all you have is cassava," Rose would say, "share it among your children. Keep them close. The peace you seek outside the home may come at a higher cost than you can afford." With time, Roberta recovered. Her parents, now more protective than ever, committed themselves to listening more, watching more, and always putting their children's safety first. Lessons from the story. Never ignore a child's words. Children may express discomfort in vague or innocent ways. It's essential for parents and caregivers to listen carefully and follow up, even when their words seem playful or confusing. Not everyone can be trusted, even family. Harm doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it comes from people close to us. Always be cautious about who your children spend time with, even within the family. Children deserve safe spaces. A child's physical and emotional safety should be prioritized over convenience or financial relief. No financial struggle is worth the safety of your child. Protect before you regret. Prevention is better than cure. Don't wait for signs of trauma. Create an environment where children are not exposed to situations that can lead to harm in the first place. Parents must be observant and proactive. Pay attention to changes in your child's behavior, moods, or comments. These could be silent cries for help. Family separation can be risky. While it's understandable to seek help from relatives during hard times, prolonged separation, especially when children are young, can expose them to vulnerabilities. Communication between spouses is crucial. Rose and Albert handled the situation with care and teamwork. Parents must support each other, especially in crises, and act wisely when emotions run high. Justice and healing go hand in hand. Seeking justice is not just about punishment, it also helps in the emotional healing of the child. It reinforces their sense of being protected and valued. Rebuilding trust starts at home. After a traumatic experience, children need stability and reassurance. Being present, supportive, and protective can help restore their sense of safety. Kindly subscribe, like, and comment. We just hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I want to say a big thank you to all of you. Massive shout out to all our amazing new subscribers. I'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop your location in the comments and be the first to share.